It's okay to have your eggs in one basket as long as you control what happens to that basket. If something's important enough, you should try, even if the probable outcome is failure. Some people don't like change, but you need to embrace change if the alternative is disaster. If you get up in the morning and think the future is going to be better, it is a bright day. Otherwise, it's not. I'd rather be optimistic and wrong than pessimistic and right. The first step is to establish that something is possible. Then probability will occur. I think it is possible for ordinary people to choose to be extraordinary. I don't spend my time pontificating about high-concept things. I spend my time solving engineering and manufacturing problems. It's very important to like the people you work with. I think we have a duty to maintain the light of consciousness, to make sure it continues into the future. You shouldn't do things differently just because they're different. They need to be better. The first step is to establish that something is possible. Then probability will occur. You want to have a future where you're expecting things to be better, not one where you're expecting things to be worse. My biggest mistake is probably weighing too much on someone's talent and not someone's personality. Life is too short for long-term grudges. Failure is an option here. If things are not failing, you are not innovating enough. Failure is an option here. If things are not failing, you are not innovating enough. People work better when they know what the goal is and why. Constantly seek criticism. A well-thought-out critique of whatever you're doing is as valuable as gold. When Henry Ford made cheap, reliable cars, people said, "Nah, what's wrong with a horse?" When something is important enough, you do it even if the odds are not in your favor. What makes innovative thinking happen? I think it's really a mindset. You have to decide. A company is a group organized to create a product or service, and it is only as good as its people and how excited they are about creating. I do want to recognize a ton of super talented people. I just happen to be the face of the companies. I've actually not read any books on time management. I would just question things. It would infuriate my parents that I wouldn't just believe them when they said something, because I'd ask them why. And then I'd consider whether that response made sense given everything else I knew. Amount to a huge innovation. It is a mistake to hire huge numbers of people to get a complicated job done. Numbers will never compensate for talent in getting the right answer. Two people who don't know something or know better than one will tend to slow down progress and will make the task incredibly expensive. I do think there is a lot of potential if you have a compelling product and people are willing to pay a premium for that. I think that is what Apple has shown. You can buy a much cheaper cell phone or laptop, but Apple's product is so much better than the alternative, and people are willing to pay that premium. I think the best way to attract venture capital is to try and come up with a demonstration of whatever product or service it is, and ideally take that as far as you can. Just see if you can sell that to real customers and start generating some momentum. The further along you can get with that, the more likely you are to get funding. I don't believe in process. In fact, when I interview a potential employee and he or she says that it's all about the process, I see that as a bad sign. The problem is that at a lot of big companies, process becomes a substitute for thinking. You're encouraged to behave like a little gear in a complex machine. Frankly, it allows you to keep people who aren't that smart, who aren't that creative. If something has to be designed and invented, and you have to figure out how to ensure that the value of the thing you create is greater than the cost of the inputs, then that is probably my core skill. I always have optimism, but I'm realistic. It was not with the expectation of great success that I started Tesla or SpaceX. It's just that I thought they were important enough to do anyway. Work like hell. I mean, you just have to put in 80 to 100-hour weeks every week. This improves the odds of success. If other people are putting in 40-hour work weeks and you're putting in 100-hour work weeks, then even if you're doing the same thing, you know that you will achieve in 4 months what it takes them a year to achieve. You guys are the magicians of the 21st century. Don't let anything hold you back. Imagination is the limit. Go out there and create some magic. Although there are some bad things in the world, remember that there are many good things too. Science is discovering the essential truths about what exists in the universe. Engineering is about creating things that never existed. You shouldn't do things differently just because they're different. They need to be better. When something is important enough, you do it even if the odds are not in your favor. What makes innovative things happen? I think it's really a mindset. You have to decide. I think it is possible for ordinary people to choose to be extraordinary. I think it's very important to have a feedback loop where you're constantly thinking about what you've done and how you could be doing it better.